Jesus, light of the world, shine upon us. Set us free by the truth you now bring us. Shine on me. Shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine. Fill this land with the Father's glory. Blaze, Spirit, blaze. Set our hearts on fire. Flow, river, flow. Flood the nations with grace and mercy. Send forth your word, Lord, and let there be light.
Good morning and welcome to Let the Bible Speak. My name is Brian Poe. I'm the preacher of the Escanaba Church of Christ, and I am your host this morning. Are there any rules, laws, or statutes that you would just be happy if they did not exist? Like speed limits. It would just be amazing if there were no speed limits, you know? You just go as fast as you want, and I would tell you how fast I've gone, but that's not the point here. Or fireworks, you know? In Michigan, fireworks were only supposed to be bought and shot off by professionals in past years. They loosened up, and now we just passed 4th of July, so even last night it's like 11 o'clock and people are outside bursting fireworks off. And you know, but there used to be more laws and regulations. There are still some. Or fishing seasons. I've been recently fishing with a few guys, you know, and there's seasons for pike and seasons for walleye, and they have to be only so big and only can catch so many. But wouldn't it be great if you could just catch the fish whenever you want, any size, just the freedom to do as you please? Wouldn't that be great? But then, as we think outside of, you know, we often can think selfishly, every one of us. After we get out of our selfish ambition and realize that if there were no speed limits, there would be a lot of car crashes, a lot of dangerous things happening out there. And my family, even right now as I speak, they're out there on the road driving with my kids. And you know, I realized that if everyone was just driving as fast as they liked, including myself, you know, it's like that could get dangerous. Or if there's no firework limitations, restrictions, just fire them off anytime you want. There would be a lot of injuries, fatalities, forest fires, which Michigan and Canada, and we've been struggling, you know, with some of those. Or no fishing restraints, or even hunting restraints. If you think about it, that would be great. However, if there were no restraints, you couldn't exactly go get the big one because there would be no big ones. I just learned that these restraints in these seasons are timed around the spawning season, and without these restraints, we'll basically fish the lakes dry. So really, when we get down to it, as frustrating as some of these regulations can be, we realize that they are for our own good. And that's really what we're going to be talking about this morning. We're looking at Leviticus chapters 11 through 15. Now, the last 2 weeks we looked at Leviticus 1 through 7, which was on the offerings. And then last week we looked at Leviticus 8 through 10, which was talking about the priesthood. And now we're looking at Leviticus 11 through 15. The topic of our study is regulations, or as some may say, laws, statutes, precepts, whatever the word is that your translation or might use or that you use. Regulations, rules. The goal of this lesson is to help us to understand what these regulations meant. Because if you think about it, you read through Leviticus 11 through 15, it's like, that's kind of out there. You know, it is out there. But it's going to help us understand what these meant for them in their time, their context. These chapters are going to also help us understand the basic need for regulations, but also, and I believe most importantly, these chapters and studying them are going to help us understand the importance of regulations placed over us in regard to sin. Okay, and that's where we're going to take it this morning. So Leviticus chapters 11 through 15, we're going to do a quick overview. We're not going to read through these chapters. That would take too long. But just a quick overview. Chapter 11, we have regulations about what and what not to eat. What to eat and what not to eat. So in the Old Testament, according to chapter 11, here they could only eat animals with a divided hoof and the animals that chewed the cud. Now, we don't have that restriction. And I think a lot of us are very thankful for that, especially if you had bacon and eggs this morning. So, restrictions. They can only eat animals with a divided hoof and that chewed the cud. Some animals in the Old Testament, it says some animals that chewed the cud, but they did not have a divided hoof, such as the camel, hyrax, the rabbit, for those small game hunters. They were not permitted to eat, okay? And some animals that did not chew the cud but did have a divided hoof, such as the pig, obviously they were not allowed to eat. And that's why pig, Jewish culture, is a big thing, not to eat pork. And then the chapter continues to talk about water animals, such as only being able to eat those with scale and a fin. And if you ask me, you know, I'm all good with the Old Testament when it comes to only eating water creatures with a scale and a fin, because that would put out, you know, squid and octopus and a shrimp, all those things that I think are kind of gross. But you know, we're not in the Old Testament anymore. So if you like a good sushi or that slimy stuff, power to you. I personally will stay with the scales and the fin myself. And then if you go on in the chapter, you have a list of birds that they were not permitted to eat. And then you have ending the chapter, you have a list of insects that they were not permitted to eat. They were not allowed to eat any insect that walked on all fours. Examples they gave was, they gave a list of exceptions, actually. The exceptions to this, they were allowed to eat locusts and katydid and cricket and grasshopper. And that's why when we get to the Gospels and start reading about John the Baptist, who was out in the wilderness eating grasshoppers and locusts, they were allowed to eat those, and he was abiding by Jewish law. Now, some have symbolized or theologized a lot of these, but I like to keep things a little more simple. I'm not saying that they're wrong. You could definitely go a lot deeper in each of those, but I really don't like doing that. I'm going to try to keep this simple and very relevant to every one of us this morning. Keeping it simple, what I think we have here in chapter 11 is regulations, primitive regulations, creating a standard for eating in a pre-science era. Granted, it won't give us apples to apples. You know, everything that was not lawful back then is not apples to apples. Okay, it's not a perfect lineup. But chapter 11 in Leviticus, I believe, is the first step for people understanding that there are some things that are good and okay to eat, and there's some things that are not okay to eat. For example, let's pick on the pork. A lot of us this morning, including myself, probably had pork for breakfast, because pork comes in a lot of different forms. You have bacon. Who doesn't like bacon? Okay, there's a lot of people that don't like bacon, including my wife. I love bacon. I like the nice crispy bacon. I also like sausage. We used to go out for men's breakfast, and my youngest son, before he was old enough to go to school, he would come with us. And every Thursday morning for breakfast, his order was exact. He wanted his 4 pieces of sausage. That was it for breakfast. Well, if we were in the Old Testament, he would not be able to have that. And granted, we know that pork is not healthy for us. We really do. And there's a lot of things out there that are not healthy for us. So this chapter 11 was a primitive first steps, early standard of learning that there are simply things that are not healthy. Primitive theological language, they use unclean and clean. Us in the postmodern era with science, we understand that there's simply healthy and not healthy. And now we have programs like FDA guiding us. And we usually trust FDA. And some of us may start questioning FDA standards since they approved hot dogs. But that's a whole different story. But that's the idea. I think we're looking at a standard of eating. We get the same idea if we want to move along into chapter 12. Now we have laws regarding post-childbirth. Post-childbirth. These 8 verses are a little confusing, complicated, and they don't seem to make a lot of sense. But again, I'm trying to bring this to a simple idea that we can understand even today. In a primitive language, I believe that what we have here is a guideline to ensure that the mother gets enough rest after childbirth. Because if you remember, the science didn't come in even but maybe 1,500 years ago, roughly. I'm not exactly sure. So back in 3,500 years ago with Moses and the law, they didn't understand science and the healthy things and germs and the body healing. Everything was a little different back then. And so in a primitive language, God gave them these laws, these mandates, saying this is what you are to do. This is right, this is wrong, clean, unclean, do and do not. And in this particular chapter, chapter 12 of Leviticus, these mandates are to ensure that a mother gets proper rest after birth. In an era of science that we are in now, we have medical advisories and time to rest and to heal. So in this postmodern era that we live in, we have programs now that guide us, such as OBGYN, and they guide the mother through the whole process, even including after pregnancy. So that's chapter 12. It's a primitive way to guide a mother to get rest. So now we get to the first 46 verses of chapter 13. So we're just walking through the chapter here. And if you did not recently read these chapters, I do encourage you to read these chapters, and they would make more sense. But chapter 13, verses 1 through 46, this chapter speaks of a lot of infections, skin diseases and infections. And it goes over a whole list of them, and it talks about if you have a skin rash or disease or infection, go to the priest. And the priest is going to look at the infection, and he's going to decide whether it's contagious. If it's not contagious, he'll send you back home, and it'll heal up. Or if it is contagious, he'll send that person out of the camp. So I think this is a very easy one to understand. What you have here is a primitive regulation to help from diseases spreading, okay? Help from a pandemic going out into the camp. And when you have like 1 million, give or take, probably more, 1 million people exiting Egypt and going through this wilderness, and everything, their situation, their circumstances, their living situation was all subpar. It was not really what anyone really wanted. Everything was set the tent up, take the tent down, and so skin diseases and rashes and infections, I'm sure, were pretty rampant. So there had to be a way to control that. So what did God do? He gave them these rules. Follow these rules, and this will help guide you through these years to not let infections and diseases spread. In a post-modern era with science, we have medical professionals, and we have programs like the CDC to help guide us through these infectious diseases. And then finally, ending in chapter 13, verses 47 through 59, they talk about molds, green molds, red molds, different molds, and different materials, which is very neat because even we today understand the danger of mold, and we also understand that on different materials, some materials you can just wipe with Clorox, but some materials, if they get moldy with certain color molds, black molds, and so on, you're probably just better off throwing it away and putting a mask on. Or there's some molds out there that you really got to get professionals in there to clean up legally. So I believe what you have here, even though in that day they were to take these molds to the priest, and he was to look at it and decide, what kind of mold, what material it was on, and what to do with it. What you have is a primitive way of controlling sickness in these molds, because again, their living situation in tents and food and everything. I'm sure mold was not easy to control. So we had to control it. So God gave them rules. Postmodern, with science, we understand mold and danger. We've been able to get the microscope on it and know how it works and how dangerous it is and what situations it grows and does not grow. So we have our guiding rules in science, and we have hazmat to help us prevent dangerous mold situations. So that really is what these chapters are about. If you were to read in chapter 14 and 15, it goes over in different angles all these same restrictions. It talks about these 4 things. Again, just gives more details, but we got those chapters. So what was the purpose of these regulations? First and foremost, these regulations were to serve as a guide for the people to live safe. That's really what it was. To live safe and to have a better life. Even though, this is important to realize, even though a lot of the people back then probably didn't really understand a lot of the rules. Like, what's wrong with this green mold? Why did I have to throw my best bag away? I could just wipe that black mold off, right? They didn't understand a lot of the reasoning behind it, but God gave them rules anyways. So the regulations, the purpose was to serve as a guide for safety and better living. But also, these rules and regulations were to inaugurate the people, to give them understanding that there is a clean and unclean. And I believe when it gets to that, it starts to speak further into the reality of the New Testament, that there is clean and unclean, and even ourselves clean and unclean with our behavior. But that was, I believe, the basics of these chapters. I want to give a phrase that I'm going to repeat through the remainder of this lesson a couple times. These regulations, if there's something, if you're taking notes, this is what you want to write down right here. These regulations were designed by God for their safety and betterment. I wasn't sure about the word betterment, but my Word document did not correct me, so I think it's a word, okay? These regulations were designed by God for their safety and betterment, crafted by God and His wisdom, through His character, and for His glory. I will repeat that slowly. I really want you to get this, because the same phrase we're going to bring forward, and I'm going to bring it so it's for us too. These regulations in Leviticus chapters 11 through 15 were designed by God for their safety and betterment, for better living. Crafted by God through His wisdom, through His character, and for His glory. Remember that phrase. So, these same laws, I like language, I like linguistics, I like getting into the Greek, and I realize that when you're reading through these chapters, you're going to have, the word regulation or statute or law. That same word, when it's talking about these laws in Leviticus 11 through 15, is the same word that David uses in Psalm chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. I'm going to read that to you. Psalm chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seats of scoffers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord. There it is right there. His delight is in the law. Now, what law would David be speaking about? This Leviticus 11 through 15, that was law. Not just the Ten Commandments, all the statutes of God. His delight is in the law of the Lord, and on His law He meditates day and night. And ultimately, David says, you're going to have a better life. You're going to grow to be a green, prosperous tree. And he was right, because after looking at the laws in Leviticus 11 through 15, he realized that the laws, again, were created, designed for our good, for our betterment. And David says, make that your delight. It's going to give you a good life. And we also have the same idea in Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 31 through 33. Let's look at that. Jeremiah 31, verses 31 through 33. I will read that. Behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Not like the covenant that I made with their forefathers, their fathers, on the day when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. My covenant that they broke, though I was their husband, declares the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, declares the Lord. I will put my law, okay, within them and will write it on their heart. Why? Why, God, do you want to put your law in my heart? Because the laws of God are for our betterment. They're for our good. And we're going to see that. We saw that in Leviticus 11 through 15. We're going to see that for us today. Now, New Covenant application, New Testament Christians, we have really just two great commandments. Matthew 22, verses 36 through 40. Matthew 22, 36 through 40, where it says, Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. So Jesus kept it simple. He says, if you want to fulfill all the law, just do these two things. Love God, love people. And that truly is a true saying. It really is. But for the sake of this morning, I want to look at the laws and regulations. So I want to pan this out a little bit. What are the laws and regulations that are tucked under the umbrella of love? I have a big list here, so just hang on for a second. These laws, and just some of them, these are just some of them from the list that Paul gives us. Do not murder, do not lust, do not envy, do not greed, do not lie, no sexual immorality, do not hate, no discord, no fits of rage, no selfish ambition, no drunkenness, no orgies, no witchcraft, no malice, no slander, no filthy language, no adultery, no idolatry, no theft, and etc., etc. This list I just read and more is sin. Okay? Now I want to talk about sin for a second. We need to talk about sin because if we don't understand sin, we're not going to understand laws and the laws of God over us. Everything on that list, everything in the Bible that God says this is sin, do not do it, has one thing in common. One thing, and you're going to find it true. The one thing that everything on that list and everything that's called sin has in common is it is harmful for you and I. In some way, shape, or form, it is harmful for us. So what we have here is all these sin restrictions are God wanting to guide and protect us through these harmful things in life that would otherwise try to bring us to ruin. That's what everything I read on that long list, every single one of those will bring you to ruin. So regulations and laws to sin, they're for our good. They're for our betterment. And just as odd as the regulations in Leviticus 11 through 15 were, and sometimes we don't understand all the laws of sin that God has over us, we have to understand in God's wisdom that they are for our good. And God is not trying to be restrictive. He's not trying to be controlling. Rather, God is trying to be a good shepherd. He's trying to lead us in this life, truly trying to give us the best life possible. And if you really sit down and think of what the sin, every one of us have spent time in sin. If you were to honestly sit down and think of your time in sin, you would realize that that sin has brought harm. It has brought turmoil to your life. And no one wants that. And God doesn't want that for you. He wants the best for you. And that's why He gave us these laws and regulations. So again, these laws, the regulations in Leviticus 11 through 15, but also these laws over us, when you read through the Bible and see the laws, these laws regarding sin were designed by God for our safety and betterment. They were designed by God for our safety and betterment, crafted by God in His wisdom, through His character and for His glory. I'm going to repeat that because this is it right here. These laws, the things that God says, Brian, do not do. Brian, that is sin. These laws were designed by God for my safety and my good, for your safety and your good, your betterment. crafted by God in his wisdom, through his character, and for his glory. So there you have it. Laws, rules, and more rules. They're for our good. Understanding these chapters, Leviticus 11 through 15, understanding sin and the laws God has over us, helps us to understand God's lordship. When God says that he wants to be our Lord, Lord is the same word for master. Master. God wants to be our master, the one he speaks and we listen, okay? And you might say, why do I want God to be my master? Well, we want him to be our master because he knows how to give us the best life possible. So when you open up the Word and God says, Brian, or whatever, whoever you are, this is how I want you to live. And realize that he wants you to live that way because that is going to give you the best life possible. The best life. He wants the best for us. So there you have it, Leviticus 11 through 15. I thank you for spending this time with me. We do have a few resources I want to tell you about. We have this 7-part series from the World Bible School, and this is a free series, and if you want this, you can reach out to us, but it's a 7-part series. You walk booklet at a time, just go through the booklets, and it's intended to just teach you about God and the Word and salvation and how to become a Christian. And perhaps you are a Christian. These resources can help deepen your walk in God. If you are not a Christian, this resource may be the resource you need to show you the way. Or perhaps you need a Bible. That's another resource we have for you. This is the ESV, a free resource. If you want a Bible, this could be where your journey begins. We would love to send you a Bible. The address on your screen, the Marquette Church of Christ, and also the web address. This is how you can reach out to us. And if you need those resources, we would love to send you something. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for spending this time with me this morning. I pray that you have a wonderful day, and God bless you so much.
Glory blaze, Spirit blaze, set our hearts on fire. Flow, river flow, flood the nations with grace and mercy. Send forth your word, Lord.